Welcome back everybody. So in this video I will be telling 5 ghost stories that come out of the county of Wiltshire. I live in Wiltshire, I love Wiltshire, and I just want to share some of the ghost stories with you. So let's get straight into this video. Okay, so I'm going to start with probably one of the most popular hauntings in Wiltshire. A lot of people in the UK are going to know about this hotel. Most haunted have been there to investigate. I've had the pleasure of investigating this hotel, and it is the Black Swan. So the Black Swan Hotel was built in the 18th century in the style of a traditional coaching house. Like so many of these old inns, it is also said to be haunted. There have been plenty of occasions where both staff and guests of the hotel have seen a transparent figure of a woman in a long white flowing dress. On these occasions, when guests have spotted her, they have ended up having to change rooms because they were so terrified, and with good reason. Because she likes to float through solid walls, the sightings of this young woman in white are always fairly oh my god, I'm not doing that again, and I'm not starting again. Similar. I do apologise. The woman appears through the walls of rooms, and then she sits down for a short time, usually staring out of the window. She then gets up and leaves by walking through the wall again. There have also been reports of paranormal activity in the cellar where a face has been seen coming out of the wall. Now, when we were there investigating, we did pay a lot of attention to this white lady. That was the main focus of this investigation. On this night, there could have been a few slight little bits of paranormal activity, but majority of the night, it was actually kind of quiet, and we didn't get a huge amount of activity. I also did a lone investigation in this cellar, and yes, apart from getting a very, very creepy vibe, again, there wasn't much paranormal activity at this time when we were investigating. I'm not saying it's not haunted. All I'm saying is that when we were there, we didn't get a huge amount of activity. Okay, so the next one up is the Bear Hotel in Devizes, which is literally just across the road from the Black Swan. Once again, I have had the luxury of investigating this establishment, and we did have some very interesting things happening in this investigation. So the Bear Hotel dates back to the 18th century, and it is a must-see stop on any tour of haunted Wiltshire. One of the most well-known tales of this unexpected happenings comes from 1965, when a barman heard loud voices coming out of a room that he was sure was empty. After investigating, he found that he had been totally correct, and the room was indeed completely empty. On another occasion, a maid from the Bear Hotel was outside and noticed a grey figure closing the curtains in a room she knew was unoccupied. She entered the hotel and went straight to the room to double check again. She was correct, and the room was empty. I do know both of these ghost stories. To be fair, when we investigated there, we had some really, really interesting things happening. They got like this underground cellar kind of bar, and I was left there to do a lone investigation. Almost felt like somebody was trying to get in. There was somebody there with me. I think there was like a door at the end, and it almost was like being rattled by something, but I felt this really, really strong presence when I was in the cellar. Through the rest of the Bear Hotel, when we were investigating as a team, there was some very, very interesting communication. We established it was a lady, and it was the lady was trying to communicate with us, say, through the REM pod, which was really, really interesting. There was other interesting bits throughout the whole of this investigation. It's been a while since I've done that one, and I can't remember everything that happened in that episode, but still a very, very cool place to go and visit and to investigate if you ever get the chance. So, next up is Avery Manor. The village of Avery is mostly well known for its mysterious connection to the circle of Neolithic stones that surround it, but it also has more than a few Wiltshire ghosts hanging around as well. For example, Avery Manor, a beautiful Tudor mansion in the village, is said to be haunted by 2 spirits. The first of these 2 spirits, believed to be the ghost of Sir John Starwell, who appears as a spectral cavalier accompanied by ice-cold temperatures and the smell of roses. Starwell was a royalist who was stripped of his possessions following the Civil War, including his beloved Avebury Manor. Needless to say, he was devastated and he never really got over it, as it is evident by the fact that he is still seeming to hang around. The other ghost also has ties to the Civil War, but this time in the form of a white lady who is said to glide around the house and gardens of Avebury Manor. It is believed that she is the spirit of a young woman who flung herself to her death from one of the upper windows of Avebury Manor after her Cavalier lover was killed in battle. These are two very, very interesting ghost stories, I have to be honest with you. I know these ghost stories very, very well. I have never really heard of any team actually being able to gain access to the manor to actually do an investigation, but there have been quite a few reports of these ghost sightings and many other ghost sightings actually in the village of Avebury. It's very, very cool. I would love to investigate there a lot. In fact, I'm actually going to be visiting Avebury at some point this week, and I will do a short video while I'm there. Okay, so next up is Brunel's Box Tunnels. This railway tunnel, designed by Britain's most famous industrial engineer, is perhaps one of the county's newer haunted sites. Opened in 1841, its construction was plagued by disaster, with flooding and explosions claiming the lives of hundreds of workmen. Engineers inspecting the tunnel in 2011 claimed to have seen a wailing woman at the eastern portal dressed in a nightdress. She then allegedly disappeared before their eyes. And basically the question that was raised is, was she the unfortunate widow of a workman that was either blown up or drowned in these tunnels? Now, I have never actually been to these tunnels. Okay, I've heard many, many stories about these tunnels, and I know quite a few people that have actually had the pleasure of actually going into these tunnels. And they do report very, very strange going-ons. They hear distant chatting from down one of the tunnels. It has a very, very creepy, eerie feel. Now, me and Richard were actually going to investigate these tunnels not so long ago, I should say, and we found out that they actually closed the tunnels off to the public because two teams of people went in there. They got lost. They had to go and rescue them. So they made that decision to actually close off these tunnels to the public. It's a bit of a shame because there's a lot of history, but potentially there's a bit of history in there and some potential ghost or even possible poltergeist activity that actually goes on in these tunnels. It's a shame they shut it, but I also understand why they shut these tunnels. So, last of all, this place holds quite a special place in my heart because this was my first ever investigation, and it is Groveley Woods near Wilton. It's about a 40-minute drive from where I live. It's a very, very interesting place. There are many ghost stories that actually come out of this wood, but the main dominant ghost story is the story of four sisters who were accused of witchcraft, who were then bludgeoned to death. They were then buried and had a beech trees planted above their burial sites, and these trees have apparently become their abnormal trees. In my head, knowing that I am a gardener, they're not abnormal. They just haven't been pruned. They've just been left to grow at their own will. There are only two left now, I believe. I do believe that two have fallen. That was the last time I went. Hopefully the big main one is still there and it hasn't rotten to the point where I've had to take it down. I had some very, very interesting stuff happen in there. In this wood, when we were investigating, there was some sort of communication with these little girls through a spirit box. I didn't really hit it off very well with these spirits the first time I went there, which I'll explain in the video, which is coming up in about 2 or 3 weeks time. But very, very cool place, holds a very, very special place in my heart. It has a very, very creepy feel, and when I say an extremely creepy feel in the middle of the night, especially when a mist draws in, your eyes and your mind start to play tricks on you. But even still, I quite happily go back there anytime to do an investigation or just to walk through this wood. So there are 5 ghost stories that come out of Wiltshire. There are many more, but I just chose these 5. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care and goodbye.